All right, guys. That was a bunch of good news from Gamescom, right? Right? I made myself sad. Welcome back, friends. I am DJ Montague. Today we're going to go through a little PVE build to make your life a little bit easier as a paladin in group PVE content. So we're going to go through the skills, we're going to go through the engravings, and then we're going to go through stat priority. We're going to go through a couple different extra skills as well that you can interchange certain skills in the build with to make your party more effective, or if you're doing more damage than your other party members. Chances are you won't be, because you're a paladin and your skills don't do as much damage, and you can make your team do tons of extra damage. So you'd rather do that than try and do the damage yourself. That's not what we do here. We don't do the damage ourselves. Give everybody else the chance to do the big numbers. So to start off, we've got Shattering Steel, and our first tripod we take is Quickly Prepare for the lower cooldown. The second tripod we take is Sieve for the extra damage stacking, with Steel Fan as our third tripod, which is the stacking component of the extra damage. This is awesome. Great skill, just all around quick on your damage rotation. You can do quite a bit of damage, almost as much as a Sword of Justice hit, but on a way lower cooldown. Shattering Steel is pretty rad. I think it's a really good skill. Second skill on our bar is Sword of Justice. I put 10 in that as well. And we get our first tripod of Magic Trail for the extra damage. You can take Unlearned Movement here. You could take Outstanding Mobility here. These are kind of up to you, but this is just what I take. Find Weakness, which is pretty much a standard for boss killing anyway, just because it's any boss or any monster that is immune to knockback or stun takes extra damage. Concentrated Energy, that more damage than Stream of Light. You would only get a 1 second reduction in your cooldown anyway, so Stream of Light's kind of like eh. In our third skill, Dagger Lunge, Outstanding Mobility, another good choice. Or you can go with Quickly Prepare here. Quickly Prepare for bosses that you're having a tough time with. Outstanding Mobility for bosses that you have to move around a lot, because there are a lot of bosses and a lot of raids that you're just constantly moving, and that 2 extra meters on your gap close is going to be amazing, rather than probably not a extra hit of Dagger Lunge in your damage rotation. So Amulet, always second tripod. Once you get third tripod here, you would most likely go for Irresistible Onslaught if we were even to go for our third tripod for this one. Probably not. So let's move on to our fourth skill. My fourth skill on my bar is Guardian Angel. Now this is where the build kind of is just the support build. Guardian Angel gives you a damage reduction component on its base use, and then I also go Inexhaustible Faith for its first tripod, Just Cause for the second tripod. Give that team damage. Like, it's so strong to have your team be able to do 10%, 20%, 15% more damage for 8 seconds. It's crazy. It's really, really strong. Do not underestimate how good Just Cause is. If you are going through content and you're having trouble, Tenacity is the choice, okay? Tenacity is the choice because you're like, all right, well, I need to give them the damage reduction so that we don't take, you know, a one shot to the face. So one other good thing about Guardian Angel is the last tripod options. So the last tripod option, you either go for increasing your mana regeneration for your raid, which is huge, depending on if your raid is running out of mana at all. It could be a massive boon to keeping DPS up on a boss you're having trouble with, or you just go for the damage of the Heavenly Requiem. Guardian Angel as a skill can do a lot of damage, but you could also get a lot of damage elsewhere if you traded out something like Holy Land for something similar to like a Harsh Retribution with triple attack. Now you could do a lot of base damage with that one, and it has some destruction mechanics, so that's another option you can go if you're overstacked on skill points and you want to squeak some more damage out. You could go that route, but again, we are a support build, so that's not really recommended. So, but it's just an option to think about. You have a lot of really cool skills as a paladin, you as a paladin do have some impairment skills like Sword of Justice and stuff like that. So if you really need to slot those in, you are malleable. You can supplement more damage if it's needed. But like I said, this is a support build. This is more for support players. And the next part, Unbearable Radiance. Unbearable Radiance is a good skill, very similar to Shattering Steel. It does good damage, and you also get Stigma with it. So our first tripod, I take the faster cast of Wave of Light, or Unbearable Radiance. The second skill I take is Stigma, which Stigma is always something that we want to try and have up as often as possible. It is a 10% damage increase across the board for your team, so it's super strong. The other one I take is Mighty Wave for tripod number 3, just extra damage. Now this is the first skill that I would recommend if you're feeling like you want to interchange with another skill. You would interchange it with this Retribution skill. Now the Retribution skill, what we would take for these is Free Flight, Stigma, and Rain of Steel for those tripods. Rain of Steel increasing the duration of Stigma to probably about 13 to 14 seconds depending on how long the mob sits in the Rain of Steel. But this is the thing, is if you miss this skill, it's off cooldown for 15 seconds, which if you take agility, which is what our stat priority is, it's a little bit less. But again, it's a fantastic skill, but you got to make sure you hit it. It does more damage than Unbearable Radiance will, but Unbearable Radiance is quicker and will just get you the Stigma debuff that you want. Next skill we take is Hand of Heaven. Now, Hand of Heaven is pretty much in all builds in general, I feel like, just because it has Just Cause, and in PvP, I mean, obviously Guardian of Light, but we're not talking about that right now. So I would take High Voltage for the increased AoE. If you're doing trash, you take Crack Blade, but it's neither here nor there. High Voltage for the AoE. Inexhaustible Faith. You could go Critical Threat. That's a very possible thing. I just know that playing on 200 ping, sometimes missing skills is a bummer. So I want to make sure that I'm hitting everything on any boss, no matter what, even if they start moving. But once I get to lower ping, I'll probably take Critical Threat. But anyways, so Inexhaustible Faith is the other choice for more identity skill and Just Cause, so you can alternate between Guardian Angel and Hand of Heaven to always have as much damage increase for your team as you can. The next skill that's kind of interchangeable is Holy Land. Now, Holy Land is really weak on damage in general, but it's really good for damage reduction for your team. If you're running a lot of melees in the raid, Holy Land becomes better. Quickly Prepare, getting the lower cooldown. Blessing, getting the damage reduction on your team as long as they're standing in it, and as for a whole second after they leave it, 25% less damage taken. And the other option that we have here is Rufeon's Word. Now, Rufeon's Word does the similar thing, but also requires more skill points to have the reduction, and the reduction is twice as good. So you would take Protective Barrier, you would take potentially Stigma or Affected Area. You're most likely going to probably take Affected Area, I would say, and Blessing. So Affected Area just in general to give your team more of a chance to be in the AoE that you're throwing down for them to do the damage reduction. It all around is a great skill. I've really started to enjoy this skill in both PvE and PvP. So if you have the skill points for it, I'd say go for it. The last skill that we have is Shield of Faith, which is just a must take. Dexterous Hands for our first tripod, Cleansing from Filth for our second tripod, because a lot of bosses will do extra mechanics of like a slow or any sort of debuff, and being able to remove that debuff is just so useful. And then Miraculous Healing. Miraculous Healing is always such a good tripod for Shield of Faith, just to give your team that little bit of extra top up so they're not just chugging through potions. Over the course of a boss fight, you could end up healing for 60-70% of your team's total health, and that's crazy. That's a crazy amount. That's an extra 2 potion. So Miraculous Healing, big good. All right, and also, since we're taking a support-based build, let's talk about our awakenings. Awakenings are super important because there are mechanics that bosses do where you have to do destruction or impairment. Impairment being a mechanic like Albion where they charge up and they have a bar below them and you have to lower the bar to 0 before they cast an ability to either wipe the raid or to gain a massive buff for the raid. Depends on the boss, every boss is different, but if you are having trouble with impairment and you're not having trouble with your team dying, you can take Luteran's Determination here. It is a decently quick, but it is impairment 4, which is great, but you're losing out on a massive shield to your team, which is the scary part. For just like a lot of extra damage, which is great, but Luteran's Determination is the least used of the 2 awakenings that we have. So just to show you what it looks like. Big old explosion. So you jump in the air and then you land on the ground, giving your team a massive shield based on HP. And all around, I think Luteran Court is the better option. It is only impairment 2, but again, we aren't the main impairment, we're the main support. Paladins don't have a whole lot of impairment skills, so unless there's a really bad need for impairment in your party, we're not taking Luteran's Determination. We're taking Luteran Court. This also can help you skip mechanics that could raid wipe you. One of them being one of the bosses in Araya's Heart does an AoE. If you use Luteran's Court and you land on your team and the boss, they can stay in the AoE, take the full amount of AoE and the last hit that normally wipes the raid, and you could just pass the mechanic without having to juggle inside and outside of the fire. These are some of the things that you can do with your awakening skills that help your team and your raid skip mechanics or do mechanics a lot easier. So, show you the skill here. That is a big old shield for myself. 59,000 health when I normally have 74,000 health. So give you an idea of how much shielding it truly gives you. And that lasts 10 full seconds. So it's a pretty insane skill, all in all. Now we'll go over to runes once we get more information on what the runes we're getting for the North American release are, but generally they're pretty self-explanatory. The runes just accent your skills. Now this is a website, and I'll have it in the description below, that pulls data from Korean servers and has just a wealth of knowledge about what's priority, what other people are using, what stat builds are allocated, what skills are used. This is where you want to go. So the first engraving we take, guaranteed on every Holy Knight or Paladin I've ever seen, is Awakening. We want to max out Awakening almost first, if not second, and to get the books for that, it's just like a must-have. Having your cooldown of Awakening skill be 2.5 minutes and being able to use 6 of them in one boss fight is huge, and that's because of our second Awakening that we take. As a support, we want to make sure our team is topped up, right? When you use Blessed Aura, not only do you give them the 10% damage buff that they normally get, but you also reduce damage they take by 20%, and you heal them for 2% of their health every second. It's incredible. The longer you have this up, the more you have this up, the more important you are, because you're increasing damage, you're reducing damage, and you're healing all in one skill. It's insane. And that's the reason why we take Awakening, and that's the reason why our stat priority is the way it is. And I'll explain the stat priority in just a moment. So the other one that we would potentially take, but is not in the current Russian version, and so I doubt it will be in the current North American and European version once we get it, is Specialist. Now Specialist does something, but I mean, you could read it here. We'll pass over it. The other one we want is Spirit Absorption. It's called Elemental Absorption here. It's called something different everywhere. It increases your attack and movement speed by 15%. It's just an all-around great skill because we don't have a ton of mobility and we want that 15% move speed anyway. The other option that we take for our fourth engraving, our fourth and fifth engravings, fifth being when we're very, very high tier, is going to be difficult to get in the beginning of North America and and you're up. But once we get high up there, this is what we're looking at. These would be the top three: Awakening, Blessed Aura, Elemental Absorption, or Spirit Absorption. In my opinion, hands down the best. The other thing we have is Heavy Armor, increasing your defense by 100% on level 3 Engraving. It's pretty good, just extra defense to make you live longer. The other engraving we have is Judge, also known as Master Fencer. This is a engraving that increases your damage from your blue skills when you have Warrior of Light active. It also increases the amount of faith you get for our identity skill. So it increases the amount we can generate, which is great. Specifically because we are using Blessed Aura every time. You just want to get it up faster. While this is a good class engraving, and if you had like maybe perfect stats, you could do equal damage to a DPS that is just doing its normal rotation. But still, it's just not worth it because our support skills are so strong. There's no reason to not take the support skills. You know what I mean? So that's our engravings. And real quick, we'll take a look at stat priority. Stat priority is not what you see here. I don't have the correct stats, unfortunately, because I'm still going through most of the raid content of Papunica. So don't think that my stats of crit is good. I don't want crit at all. I want agility. You want as much agility as you can get because it's a triple dip stat. You get movement speed, attack speed, and cooldown reduction with it, which is all fantastic stats for us. And then you want specialty so you can get more faith for your Blessed Aura. That's what you want. You want more Blessed Auras all day. You want this skill to be up at all times because Blessed Aura is so strong with our engraving of Healing Faith, giving your friends the 20% damage reduction and the healing and the damage. It's crazy. It's such a good skill to have as a support paladin. And that's what you are. That's what paladins are for. They're there to support. They're there to make raids faster and easier for their team. So thank you guys for checking this video out. Much appreciated. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Also, make sure you check me out on Twitch. I am running a new giveaway as of August 26th, 2021. So this is in 22 and you're looking at this video. Nope, no giveaway. I mean, there might be, who knows. But I'm running a new giveaway where I'm giving away 4 bronze packs of Lost Ark. So make sure you come and follow, check that out. And for your chance to win, once we hit 1,000 followers, I will be giving that away. And I'll do like a giveaway on stream and we'll do countdowns and all that fun stuff. So thank you guys again. Have a good one.